If any of you remember from the videos that I was making around November, I think I referenced in several of the videos that I was going to be and had attended a 10-day silent meditation course in Western Massachusetts. And as soon as I got back, I wanted to film a video right away on the experience. I kind of stopped myself because I wanted to wait a little bit and see how the technique and the practice sort of affected my life more than just kind of the immediate effect from having been in silence for 10 days meditating for 10 plus hours a day. So as you probably know, there are so many different meditation techniques floating around out there, and some people are very zealous about their approach to meditation. There's things like mantra meditation, which is what transcendental meditation is, if you've heard of that. It's one of the more famous, well-known kinds of meditation. A lot of meditations are guided, or visualization techniques is very common. And then there's a whole branch of meditation called insight or awareness meditation, and that's kind of where Vipassana fits in. So Vipassana actually means to see things as they really are. It's one of India's most ancient meditation techniques, and it was actually practiced by the Buddha himself. So Vipassana meditation is, while it has sort of a strong underpinning of Buddhist philosophy, it's a completely non-sectarian practice. So you can be of any religious affiliation or no religious affiliation to practice this technique and have it benefit your life. So in a nutshell, to describe what practicing Vipassana meditation actually is, you are not supposed to teach the technique to anybody, but you can describe what it is. So Vipassana meditation is basically a methodical and disciplined assessment or observation of awareness of body sensations from head to toe. Kind of like doing a full body scan in slow motion of different parts of your body and observing the sensations that crop up. The best way I can describe it is, if any of you have done any kind of energy work, acupuncture, Reiki, anything like that, where you're able to sense energy moving in the body, that's basically like what it feels like. So if you were to close your eyes and think about some part of your body for long enough, you would start to feel something. You would start to feel it tingle or prickle or throb or ache or things like this. Vipassana as a technique is really able to move beyond the surface level, which is what other kinds of breath awareness or objective observing of things, that really kind of calms the mind at the surface level, but it doesn't disentangle and diffuse what's going on at the root or subconscious level, which is what Vipassana endeavors to work at. So I attended a center in Western Massachusetts. It's in Shelburne, Massachusetts, called Dhara. And it was actually the first of the Vipassana centers to be established in North America, I believe, not just the United States, but in North America. And as such, it's one of the most popular and largest centers in the US. There's 120 centers around the world that teach Vipassana meditation. And the teacher of this lineage is a man by the name of Goenka, who passed away, I believe, last year. Basically, what I did and what you need to do is, if you want to start attending one of these centers or get engaged in a Vipassana community, is you need to attend a 10-day silent meditation course, which is quite intense sounding. Pretty much everybody that I talked to and told that I was going on this was like, holy shit, like, what are you doing? Just a bit about the logistics. You need to sign up for these courses 3 to 4 months ahead of time. Courses book up many months in advance, and they're always completely full, pretty much. And another really important tenet of this style of meditation that I really, really love is that it's completely donation-based. So it doesn't cost you anything unless you want to give money. And this gets explained over the course, but basically, and it's something that has always made sense to me, and it's a reason why I've always kind of had issues with something like transcendental meditation, where you have to pay a lot of money to learn the technique and have a mentor and all this stuff. The philosophy for this style of meditation and what the teacher, Goenka, espouses is that once you make something a contractual agreement, it changes the dynamic or the energy of the teaching and the practice, which really makes sense to me. But if you decide of your own volition to give money because you actually got something out of the experience and you want others to have that experience, there's a different energy involved in that exchange of money. So I would venture to guess that everybody that does one of these courses and stays for the entire 10 days probably gives some amount of money. I did. You're not obligated to in any way, and they don't push it on you or anything like that. So just to give you a sort of a rundown of what the actual course entails, you end up getting there in the late afternoon of what they call day 0, and you have kind of an orientation or introductory meal with all of the other meditators, and then at some point that evening you go into what's called noble silence, and you have to observe noble silence for the entire time that you're there until it gets broken on the 10th day, I think. I can't remember exactly. This means that you are not allowed to talk to any of the other meditators, or you're not even really supposed to make eye contact with them. And there are also assistant teachers that you can meet with after group meditation sittings or during the lunch hour. You can sign up to have like an individual interview with the teachers. So it's not like you're silent most of the time, but you're not, I did talk to the assistant teachers almost every day that I was there. The silence wasn't particularly hard for me. I can imagine that it would be for some people, but for me it wasn't really. The basic outline of the day looks like you get up at 4:30 every morning, and until 9 o'clock at night, you are basically meditating, sometimes with instruction, sometimes without instruction, for hour to 2 hour slots at a time. There's some downtime. You can go outside. You're not supposed to do any exercise because it agitates the mind too much, except for walking. Other than that, pretty much the only thing on the agenda is meditating. You are not supposed to bring any music, reading material, no devices, no cell phone, no nothing. It's literally the only thing on the agenda is meditation. Every evening at, I can't remember, 7 to 8 maybe, there's what's called a discourse, and it's a recorded lecture by Goenka, and you're learning bits about the history and the technique and kind of everything related to how we got in the predicament that we did psychologically and how we can get out of it. So it's really powerful when you first learn the technique and start practicing it. I will say that the 4th day that we actually learned the technique and started practicing it, 45 minutes into my first group sitting of Vipassana, I basically had to leave the meditation hall because I felt quite nauseous, and I was burning up, and then I had a little mini breakdown in my room, and apparently this is quite common. What happens during Vipassana, and you would learn this, and Goenka would explain it to you much better if you decide to do one of these courses, is that when you objectively observe what happens in the physical body, you are retraining your subconscious mind, which has been conditioned to act with either what in the language they use, craving or attachment, or aversion. So these are the two ways that your subconscious mind deals with sensations and ergo emotions. Vipassana teaches you or your subconscious, unconscious mind, to not react in those kind of monkey mind ways, and to just not have a cling to something or an aversion to something. When you observe these deeply rooted vibrational patterns, what in Western psychology we would call a complex, a psychological complex. In Buddhism, they call it a sankara or a samskara, depending on if it's in Sanskrit or Pali. has these different spellings, but it means the same thing. A sankara it's the same thing as a complex. It's a lower vibrational thought pattern that gets relegated to your subconscious mind. I don't know if this is making sense or how much of this is even going to end up in this video, but when you observe them and you don't try and cling to them or avoid them, they basically come to the surface of your being and they dissolve. And when they dissolve, you can experience it physically in a lot of different ways. You can feel nauseous. You can have weird psychosomatic things, which I also experienced. Uncontrolled twitching of the body, or I had this one experience on like the 7th day where my left eye kept popping open. It was so weird. I was like literally meditating with one eye open for like the whole day. What happens after these 10 days is that your perception of reality starts to change, and you start to experience a subtler reality as your mind becomes finer tuned to the interrelationship between mind and body. Or Goenka recommends that after your first 10-day course, that you attend another 10-day course every year as kind of a refresher, that for your daily practice, you meditate an hour in the morning and an hour at night. This is a lot of time for anybody, really. For me, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to meditate for 2 hours a day, so I set a goal for myself to do minimum half an hour. A lot of days I'm able to do half an hour in the morning and half an hour at night, but my bare minimum is half an hour at some point during the day. And I'm pretty good about it. Sometimes on the weekends, I'll miss a day here and there, but for the most part, for the last 2 months, I've been meditating minimum half an hour every day of Vipassana. So I just want to give you a couple reasons why you might want to consider doing a 10-day Vipassana silent meditation course yourself. No matter how scary it sounds, I promise anybody can do this if they want to, and here are a couple reasons why I think you might want to think about doing one. Number 1, to provide yourself with a tool to deal with past, present, and future life challenges, losses, traumas, addictions, and so on. These challenges are inevitable and affect us all our entire lives. The only control we have is how we react to and deal with these situations. Number 2, if you have always wanted to learn how to meditate but don't know where to start, this is a way to deeply learn and practice a particular technique and develop the foundation for a daily, lifelong practice. Number 3, if you don't have thousands of dollars to spend on other paths towards spirituality, attending a 10-day Vipassana course, which is solely donation-based, might resonate with you. Number 4, if you want to learn how to go inside yourself and experience a deeper and more subtle reality, rather than externalizing your issues and problems with daily distractions. Number 5, if you want to begin the process of releasing your subconscious, as they say in Western psychotherapy, psychological complexes, or in Buddhism, sankaras, lower vibrational thought patterns that have been relegated to our subconscious minds because we didn't have another way to process, deal, heal, or release them at the time that they actually happened. Lastly, I just wanted to provide you with some links to resources if you want to start investigating Vipassana meditation on your own. The Dhara website itself has so much information on it, videos and articles and descriptions about the courses and everything, so I would recommend going on there and checking it out. There have been probably 3 or 4 documentaries that have come out about Vipassana. The one that I have is called The Dhamma Brothers, and it's a documentary about bringing Vipassana meditation to a maximum security prison in Alabama. And several of the other documentaries that have been done about Vipassana are also about rehabilitating prisoners in the US and also abroad, I think in India. Also, while not labeling itself as Vipassana outright, this book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which I was in a previous favorites video, is very compatible with Vipassana. Like I said, it doesn't call itself Vipassana at all, but it's if you were to read this and it were to resonate with you, then Vipassana would also probably resonate with you. So it's a lot of the same ideas about awareness and becoming more aware and dealing with subconscious issues. There's also a short but very good article on Huffington Post that was published when Goenka passed away, and is kind of a nice primer to Goenka as kind of, he wouldn't call himself a guru, but he kind of is the guru of Vipassana meditation. So I'll post the link to that article down below. There's also a very good TEDx talk by Ilona Ariel, and she gave a TEDx talk on Vipassana meditation and body sensation. She had attended one of these courses abroad, I can't remember where, and Nepal maybe, but I remember that was the one thing I did watch before I went on to my own course, and I thought it was good, and it made me feel kind of inspired and more interested. But if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments and I would be happy to answer them. I think it's a supremely valuable experience, and I'm so glad that I did it. It was one of the more challenging things I've done in my life probably, but I hope to reap the rewards for a long time to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a bit about my experience at a 10-day silent meditation Vipassana course, and I will look forward to seeing you in another video really soon. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.